thermal imaging. Why would we want thermal imaging inside of a ghost hunt? Why would I bring out this kind of camera? Temperature. How so?
Yeah.
Hot or cold?
Cold.
No, cold. Cold spots.
Cold spots.
It's the old adage about cold spots. So, with this particular camera, this is a FLIR. What does that mean for you? This is what firemen use to actually help save people. It's a quick attachment to their phone so that way they can break into places and find where they need to go. So, this is the real deal. This is not a phone app. Like, this is actually some pretty cool stuff. Will this capture something every single night? Not necessarily, but when we do, it will be a holy cow moment. So, I capture probably about 10 to 12 pieces that are super solid, like definitely paranormal evidence per year. So far, I think I'm up to about 3 or 4 with this guy. So, with this one, Jeff, I think I'm going to go with you on this one.
Okay.
You're going to hold that horizontal for us all night long.
Okay.
Yeah, you're going to be the cameraman. And you don't even need to necessarily even watch it. It's a matter of, like, you're going to get the video back tomorrow morning. I've already started the recording. We're going to keep it on record, but we're going to do a few starts and stops just because, as great as that hardware is that I just bragged about, the software sucks. So I'll give you the cues for the starts and stops. The other thing I'm going to tell you about that video while he's recording me directly is that there's going to be a blue dot bouncing around the screen when you guys are watching your video. It's going to give you the coldest spot in the frame at that particular moment. It's going to help direct your eye on where those cold spots might actually be. So I'll show you more about that at our next location. But whenever I give you the cue to restart it back up again after you've stopped, make sure you have the camera on your left. That's the wire side, just so you know. Let's break out the next camera. It's kind of nice that you guys are going to be like divvied up almost evenly tonight with 2 parties of 4. Yeah, I don't normally have this. This was kind of nice. I was actually kind of excited about this party tonight. I'm like, please, no one else book. I want to make sure it's nice and evenly balanced. So this crazy guy, these are all upgrades on this frame, literally about a week old. So can't wait to show this guy off. This is super fun too. So you should not be able to see me in this camera, or if you can, it's going to be pretty dark. I know it's super small, little tiny GoPro in there. So I know, I'm showing you guys a blank screen. How fun is that? But let's turn on some lights.
Oh, there we go.
So, notice you cannot see these lights with your own eyes. These are infrared lights. There are 24 LEDs lighting up the screen for you.
That is so interesting.
Love this guy. We just compacted it. The last one was very chunky, had big bulbs all over it. Like, this is super easy to handle. So, with this particular camera, the hope here is that we're going to be able to see something we normally would not be able to see with our own eyes that reflects light that we can't see, obviously. So, we're not recording just yet, but Philip, was it? Did I get the name right? So you're going to be our other cameraman. So again, you're going to basically handle it by the handle here. And I'm going to go ahead and start the recording just to see how long this guy's actually going to give us some footage for. So kind of hang on to that and let me know if the screen pops up with any weird sayings like format SD card or anything crazy like that. Now that both cameras are out, I'm going to give a kind of a forewarning. Some of the spaces we're going to, there might be parked cars or people walking through. If I do like an Andy's coming, basically I need both of you to act natural. With your camera, you're going to basically put it at your side and point it at the ground, and you have a cell phone, Jeff, much easier to hide. So just pretend that you're like holding a cell phone. Yeah, I mean, he's recording right now, so he's perfectly fine. Only when I feel like there might be people going to their vehicles and they don't want us filming their cars. Just imagine if it was your car in that parking lot and some guys over there filming it. That's the same principle. That's the whole point. So I'm gonna go right into spirit boxes because you guys seem like you're pretty in tune with stuff. So
It's a please format card.
okay, awesome, great. So I will fix that at the next spot. So it stopped recording, and I formatted it before we left in hopes that we would not run into this problem, but unfortunately, I have plenty of spirit boxes. So I have 6 total spirit boxes, 5 different models. So yes, and they all do something a little bit different. So I'm going to explain what it is because it's going to you first. So she's like, oh man. This is basically a way for us to communicate with the dead. So if you're a fan of the TV shows, you probably heard the white noise coming through your speakers, and then your host, Zach Bagans, will say the BS that he thinks he heard in the middle of the screen.
Did you hear it?
The replays.
Yeah. And it's all muffled, and you can't really make out what it is. He's trying to convince you of the same thing. We're going to be doing that in real time. Only we're going to be using a little bit different of a method. This is sweeping through FM radio stations at a very fast rate, according to you. Well, according to you means it's the slowest that I can slow it down. The reason why, Maddie, is because I want you to listen for the song lyrics, DJs, and commercials to slip through. If you can make out anything that those people are saying, it's a 50-50 shot. I can tie it to the location of where we are, a person in history we're discussing, or even something going on with one of us. It happens all the time. So again, if you hear...
We just did it in St. Augustine, and she was in charge of that. So
Oh, look at you. So you're already on top of it. The cool thing about this particular spirit box is it's going to record the entire session for you. So you can play with the volume all you want. You're going to get the recording back. However, Maddie's going to be the only person to hear it in real time. She's going to have an earbud in that I don't want back because your earwax is gross. So, again, I don't want the earbuds back. They're cheapos. They're like 50 centers, but they work perfect for this. So you can play with the volume all you want to. The only thing you need to worry about is where that volume button is. It's the wheel right here at the top. So again, you have to undo the twist tie for your earbuds. Most people work with just one end. There you go. That one's for you. Chloe, you seem super stoked about
I am.
the spirit box that works that way. So I have another one of these.
Yay.
So yours does not record. So I am going to be relying on you in real time of what you hear. I do keep a little notepad on me so that way I can take notes in real time, so that way your notes, your analysis is full. So whatever you hear in real time, I'm going to be writing it down, especially if it's relevant. So there might be here some phrases where I'm like, yeah, you're giving me a lot, and that last one's not relevant. I might not write it down just for that simple purpose. So this one's going to go to you. Again, your earwax is your own souvenir. Your volume wheel is right here, so I'm going to make sure it's turned all the way down, so that way when you put an earbud in your ear, it's not going to blast you away. So there you go.
Yay, thank you.
Are you guys from around here? We're from Charlotte.
So pretty close.
I swear I've met the entire population of Charlotte. You all come to see me.
It's a wonderful place to visit here. I mean, it's just 3 hours. It's great. I beg your pardon?
No, Charlotte.
Oh, Charlotte.
Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah, but we've
They're
been
about a 3-hour
traveling
drive.
many years.
It's like a perfect, great mini vacay. Not a far drive.
For sure.
The next spirit box works a little bit differently. This guy's actually going to give us words in the center of the screen from time to time. This would be like an ovulus of what you guys see on television. Okay, so the cool thing about this one is it's actually going to give you all of the words into a list with timestamps. It kind of helps me of where to watch any videos, where to listen to Maddie's recording, so forth and so on. I do have the upgraded version, which has 36,000 terms in there. So the free version has about 2,000. So yeah, big difference. So with that said, 80% of this is going to be garbage. We're going to throw it away. However, I'm going to give you the full list, just because something might be in there that might be relevant to somebody here specifically, and I don't know what that is. So again, when something in this thing is actually relevant, I will tell you why in your notes, and then give you the link to be able to verify it. The same thing with Maddie's spirit box. I'm going to go through it and spot check it. So for every 5 minutes of recording, I listen to 1 minute. If I hear something in there, I write it down whether it's relevant or not. And then I also, just so you guys know, that one's going to go to you, by the way. At the top of your set of data tomorrow morning, I did create a field guide to help you with each piece of media, what to look for, what to omit, and those kind of things. So that way you guys can actually walk yourselves right through it, and all of my notes can make a whole lot more sense. Let's see, what do we want to go into next?
I don't hear anything.
You gotta turn the volume up.
Wait, where's the volume?
It's the wheel at the top.
Okay. I don't hear anything.
We have to do
Ava, was it?
Yes.
You're gonna be my multitasker. So, you guys have probably seen these on television, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So these are pretty basic things. So we're going to be using one in digital format, but this has 3 different functions. So the device I just put back in my bag measures in milligauss, so I have this set the exact same way. This milligauss, so it's kind of like an electrical charge, basically. So this will measure anything coming off of cell phones, electrical wires, parking meters, buildings. We're going to debunk a lot of things. If your top number goes above 2.5, I want to kind of take a look at it and kind of see what's going on with it. If we see a rhythm or a pattern, we will get many readings tonight above 2.5, and I will debunk a lot of those. The bottom number is ambient temperature. If Jeff finds something on his camera, you and I can prove it or debunk it if it's a true cold spot or not, or if it's coming from something man-made. So that's the bottom number. Last but not least, it has what we call a REM pod, or motion sensor. So if something gets close to the antenna that I just pulled out, it will go off.
Yes.
I'm not touching it right now. I'm touching it now. So again, there's a lot of different colors in there, and the noise is very annoying. So we don't use that in every single location, and we definitely want to keep that off when I'm talking to the whole group. So I'll always give you guys cues for that. But for now, focus on those red numbers. I want to get Trenton set up because he is like super stoked. You're getting my brand new spirit box, sir. Oh, I'll check you out. So this spirit box works a lot differently than all of the others. How so? It's going to sweep through both FM and AM radio stations at the same time, but it's going to try to drown out the white noise that Maddie's hearing. So you're only, hopefully, going to get words out of this guy. Now we're getting little blips of static right now, but I haven't even started the sweeping yet. So you're going to get little tiny blips like that. You are probably only going to get about 10 to 12 terms that pop up out of this guy. So again, don't be too disappointed at like our first or second location. You haven't heard anything yet. That'll be coming. You just have to wait for it. So the cool thing is that if you hang out, I'm assuming Dad, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you hang out with Dad, this one does not record. So if you miss something, Dad's audio on his camera will record it. So if you stick with him, hopefully if you miss something, we'll be able to capture it later. The only thing that was something, but I had the truck. Yeah. Always coming through. So the only thing you need to worry about is how to hold it. So the blinking lights are the top, which means on the right side, there's one button. It's the mute button. I just put it on mute, so that way I can kind of get through the rest of the devices, and then I'll let you know when you can unmute it. Is that fair?
Yeah.
All right. That one goes to you. You get to carry the bag. No, I'm kidding.
I'm happy to carry the bag.
I keep hearing a lot of country music.
Yeah, I know. I keep hearing music.
Yeah.
I want to listen.
All I heard was gather.
I want to listen.
We are
All
gathering.
right. So you're going to be able to carry this one. All I want to know on this is what colors you see. I already have the units of measure memorized. So basically, but you have double duty for me.
Okay.
Only because I don't normally hand this guy to teenagers because they don't know what it is. So you're going to be taking hundreds of photos for us.
Okay.
Like literally hundreds.
Wait, what's the
Okay.
Yes. So the other thing too is if I feel like it, and kind of based on how traffic is tonight, I may break these away from you and give you lasers so that way you can work with Philip. And I'll demonstrate that before we leave the space. So this one you don't have to do anything besides hold and let me know what colors you see.
Okay.
This one is a simple point and shoot. The big button on the right is to shoot. If it shuts off, the power button's right next to it.
Okay.
So I'm going to demonstrate lasers real quick just so everybody kind of knows in case we break these out what they actually do.
I'm on a double.
What'd you do?
I'm pricing like that. Like,
You already broke it?
This one.
No, this one has to be all the way down. Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
All right, so lasers. Why do we use lasers? And we're not going to break them out right away. I may actually switch things up a little bit. So, obviously, you can see the lasers on the ground, right?
Oh, I
The
know
whole-
why.
Why do we use them?
Because motion.
Right.
See an
The
intersection.
cool thing
Yeah,
is that
Yes,
Philip's camera
interruption.
can see these like Christmas tree lights. So if we actually capture something here, it's obviously I'll be able to give you that still and kind of see what's going on with that. The reason we use what'd you hear?
Lizzo.
Oh, it's a singer.
Oh. All teenagers want to tell me what artist they're hearing.
Yeah.
And I always, guess who I get all the time? Harry Styles. I heard Harry Styles. I don't care who you heard. What did Harry sing?
Yeah.
So, the other laser that we use has red squares. Why? Because if we capture something here, I can take the still from the camera, put it in 3D software, and give you a 3D view of what we found. However, this is usually the last thing that I bring out because there is a laser law in Charleston. So so it is very touchy. And I normally, with the groups like this, I want you guys all to intermingle your devices. So keep them within your party, of course, because everything's been sanitized. But yeah, if you guys want to switch things up among your parties of 4, by all means, I encourage it. If you want to take your own photos tonight, I encourage it. But with your camera, Isabel, that camera does not have a flash on it. I turned it off so that way we don't have any false positives when I'm going through it. So when you're taking pictures, that means you have to be very still. So that way they're not all blurry and I'm like, oh my god, check this out, and it's really just a blur. So I'm going to put the lasers away for now. I'll see if we're going
Shall
to
I
break.
turn it off until we stop at the location and then I take pictures?
Not necessarily. Again, everything gets fresh batteries every single day.
Okay,
So
perfect.
let's talk about why we started here. And then we're going to go to our next stop. So, spot in front of me out here is like 1 morning. Yeah, it happens. So back to Big John's. Big John was a football player for the 1947 New York Giants. This was his bar. He used to sit in the back of the bar and he'd tell the bartender if the cadets coming over from the Citadel, if they were old enough to drink or not. One night, 2 guys come in, they're not old enough to drink. So he has the bartender throw them out. They leave pretty angry. They come back the next night and they try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. John sees what's going on, he slams down his beer and goes over and starts beating the hell out of these guys, just pounding them right into the floor. A couple of gunshots go off. John gets grazed in the neck, and the bullet lands behind him in the wall. gets up after being shot. He's the only one that's been shot, by the way. And he goes back to the bar and he tells the bartender, get me another beer, get those 2 guys an ambulance. Now, I tell you guys that this place is haunted, and you guys all think of some kind of tragic death that occurs here, because that's the normal cliche, right? But what's haunting this place is the bullet hole. Even if the new renovation of Big John's that we're now staring at filled in that hole, John's blood is still in this building. People that sit in the front of this place, if they eat dinner here, tend to get a little queasy, nauseous, or headache. This is your heated warning. Fingers crossed we're going to be dealing with paranormal activity tonight. I don't know because the ghosts are on the payroll. I can't make them do anything. But if anybody feels any of those symptoms tonight, of course, we're going to account it to the humidity first, obviously. But I need to know so we can move the whole group and get that person to safety, get them some water, and do what we need to do to get that person well again. Is that fair? Again, I have had to call the paramedics in the past. It's never fun.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's why I give the warning. So our last stop, I'll actually tell you a story that's relevant to the history of the location on my tours. So it's a little crazy stuff. But let's get our mind off our own health, because nobody wants to talk about that, right? So, big earthquake here in 1886. If you didn't know that from another history tour here in Charleston, you now do. We all talk about it because we're supposed to have hurricanes, not earthquakes. But this building is where the first death allegedly occurred. The white mantle you guys see in the middle of the building also wraps around the front. On the front of the building, a piece of it cracked off, struck somebody in the back of the head, and killed them. And they say you can see his ghost in the middle of East Bay Street in the middle of the night. Notice I said apparently and allegedly a lot with that. I don't have any proof. It's just a great segue so that Jennifer's not thinking about getting sick on the tour. So, is everybody ready to go ghost hunting?
Yes. Absolutely.
Right. Chloe's like, yeah, I'm in. Let's do this. All right, we're going to go this way. I'm not going to hang out on you, so I got to write that one down. That's a good reading. So, we're going to pretend that Jennifer's list has the word art on it. It doesn't mean anything in this location. But then Chloe hears the number 40. So notice how I'm getting used to your names. I just keep pulling them out. But that's what you're supposed to be doing. You're good. So Art and 40 together. Art Faircloth was number 40 on Big John's team. You see how we're going to be putting these clues together all night long, and how I'm going to be able to verify what's actually happening. So you obviously heard fire truck. You have 3.7. So I need to write those down for sure. Let's talk about these cameras, and then we're going to go to our next space. I don't want to talk about football players and ponies all night. So Jeff, with your camera, you're going to try to do 2 things. I know I told you to try to keep other people out, but we all paid to be filmed tonight. I want you to try to keep one of us in view, because that's going to give us an array of color, because we're the warmest thing out here. Try to keep somebody's skin tone in view at all times. The other thing you're going to try to do is keep the sky out. The reason why is that blue dot will default to the sky because there's no surface. It's looking for a surface, and there's nothing up there. So it's always going to default that that's the coldest spot in the frame at that moment. I know some of those spaces we're going to tonight are going to be difficult, but just try your best. Philip, with your camera, once I get it fixed at the next location, you're just going to be a nice slow cameraman for us. That thing is awesome at capturing orbs. So with the amount of lights that are coming out of it, I would say about 50% of the tours I've done with it so far have caught a definitive orb, not a bug coming through it. So again, the slower you are, the better you'll be. And of course, you can always take Chloe's other earbud. That way, you guys can listen together. She can always share with whoever she wants to, so forth and so on. I think the only thing I'll need to do is show Ava how to use that REM pod, but I'm going to do that at the next location too, because there's a lot that goes into that. So let's go to the next location and get away from these football players and ponies, and I'm going to give you some much deeper history than the past 20, 30 years. So let's go over this way. Jeff, you look like the perfect YouTuber, man. Got like the perfect line, like the perfect holding spot.
Should I keep recording as we walk, or just stop it?
Go ahead and keep it going. I'll give you a cue to stop it.
Okay. Oh, sorry, Maddie.
It's good. Salmon is good. Mom got salmon. 89. Oh, it just said 89. I don't know. Every place carries 21.5. I heard 89.
That's a lot.
It is a lot.
That's
21.9? 5.
damn.
Alright, so I guess I should probably explain what these readings mean, since they're getting excited about it. So, going to go with examples from your house, right? So behind your television, you have a bunch of wires, right? So that thing's measuring any kind of electrical current in the air. So behind your TV is going to run about 40 to 60 milligauss, depending on how many PlayStations Trent has. So with that said, yeah, because it can go all the way to 60. I've seen that before in the past. Your microwave running on high and you're standing next to it with the door shut is about 150 to 170 milligauss, depending on the wattage of your microwave. So the highest I've ever seen that device go has been in this space, which we're about to explore, at 214. It's almost like putting your head inside the microwave. Dangerous levels. I will tell you, I moved that team out of that area pretty quickly. I do have epilepsy, so occurrence like that can affect me. So again, I got out of Dodge pretty fast, as you can imagine. So I don't normally do that, but again, when something I think is going to affect me and I'm supposed to be your leader of the night, that's not a good sign. So Chloe's like, what is actually going on right now? So,
Yeah.
She's just got her jaw dropped the whole
No,
time.
because like.
So welcome to a parking lot, everybody. Another beautiful space at Charleston. This used to be something. So fair warning for all 3 cameras at this point. I didn't know if I was going to be bringing out that 3rd one, but again, just try not to be the YouTuber when you're walking around, kind of thing. So because there are a lot of vehicles in here. So what is this space? Well, I guess first off, spirit boxes. I am not going to be giving you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse, like what we did over there with the red barn. You're going to get the answers from your spirit boxes, and yes, I am going to withhold information purposely, so that way everybody actually has a genuine experience, hopefully. So with that said, this used to be the Eliza and Charles Pinckney mansion. It actually sat in the front of this space, facing East Bay Street. Eliza's garden was lined up behind Five Church Restaurant. It came all the way across to basically where we're standing now, the edge of that opening. And we are standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. So it kind of gives you the layout of how they lived over here. But who the heck were these people? Charles and Eliza had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 Charleses, in case you all lost count. You guys see why I look for those secondary verifiers now? I need to know which damn Charles we're talking to, because there's 3 of them. So, the son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. That's a pretty big deal for us, but I hate politics more than all of you, so we're going to move on. We're going to talk about Eliza. She's way cooler anyway. Eliza, she marries Charles at a young age according to today's standards, not the colonial times that she came from. If you ask her how old she was when she got married, you're not going to hear numbers like 12 and 14, just so you guys know. But the reason I bring this up is because Charles was over double her age when they married. So it's a pretty big age gap back then in colonial times. We're talking 1700s, big age gap now. But she married him because her father, over in England, thought he was dying. And he wanted to see all of his kids one last time. She didn't think he was dying, so she stayed put, got married. In 1744, you don't get married for a green card of citizenship because we're not a country yet. We get family and home here all the time. So that's a good one. I'm gonna write that one down. So where was I? So she got married. Oh, and Dad got better. She was right. He wasn't dying right away. Instead, Dad starts sending her gifts to this space. You guys have been in town for at least an hour or so that I know of. You've seen the word indigo somewhere, I promise. What he sent her were the plant seeds of indigo. She didn't know what to do with it, which, by the way, indigo makes blue dye that made your ripped up jeans. So that's how we use it today. I heard you guys talking about your blue jeans. We crossed each other earlier. That's the reason why I brought those up again. It's something about retiring them, I thought you said. Yeah. So, not yet. We're going to find out. Names and numbers usually don't lie, so that's a good call. But when she got these indigo seeds, no idea what to do with them. It's not always hot here, as you North Carolinians know. So she had to learn from her slaves how to keep it cultivated. When she experimented with it and had it down pat, she moves it to a plantation, calls her dad, says, hey, rice plantations are going downhill. We can make a killing with this indigo. So now we have an international businesswoman during colonial times. So, yeah. Again, that's our history. Let's get into the weird stuff. I want to escalate it. So at this point, I want to know anything above 21. So that way I'm not writing down a million numbers. Is that fair? Alright, so I'm going to be assigning questions. So spirit boxes, I'm going to have you guys focus on one topic at a time. This is something new I'm starting. Normally I would just throw them all at you and have you reach and grab whichever ones you want. Chloe, I'm going to have you focus on what happened to the mansion. So you can ask Eliza what happened to the mansion. If you get an answer, ask what year that happened. Is that fair? Okay, so focus on that. Where's my next spirit box? With the word list, I want you to focus on the children. I'm going to give this to an adult because I don't want you to poke the bear. You can ask how many children she had and what their names are. Alexander's not one of them, just so you know. But the reason I say don't poke the bear, there's a tragedy among those kids. If you poke the bear, all activity stops, including the readings that Ava's getting. They'll go down to 0, we won't see anything else. So I'll explain what that tragedy is before we leave. Actually, it's Susie. With yours, I want to keep it simple because yours doesn't always give us full syllables. Ask Eliza how old she was when she got married. So if you start getting answers out of it, I want to see what's going on with that.
So do I unmute it?
You can in a minute.
Numbers and names don't usually lie.
Yeah, so 60. I got nothing on 60, but it doesn't mean anything. You might actually get another number, like 8, so if it is like 68.
Okay.
You see where I'm going with that? So it might be coming through another spirit box as well.
And can I just ask a quick question?
Yes.
Why would it all of a sudden be like shooting?
It's all part of the aesthetics. That thing's an app. So again, that's why we throw out 80% of it. It's actually trying to scare us. We're just giving the Pinckney family a dictionary to work with.
Okay.
It's basically how it works. Is yours? You seem like you're going to be focused, so I'm going to give you a lot of questions. Are you ready? You're going to focus on Eliza's death. You're going to ask her how old she was when she died, which is not 60, by the way. What she died from, where she's buried, and what president was a pallbearer at her funeral. So again, 4 different questions. Try to focus on those. And what president was at her funeral. So this president was a pallbearer. Do you know what a pallbearer is?
I ask her right now.
So pallbearer are the people that carry the coffins to the gravesite. It's an honor to be able to do that. Just so you know. So again, to have a president carry you to your grave, that's a big deal. So again, kind of keep that in mind. Did I cover all spirit boxes? Do you guys all have sets of questions you can work with? For you, I want you to focus on how old Eliza was when she got married, or how old Charles was when he married Eliza. Try to get 1 or 2 of those numbers.
What happened to me?
So Philip, I need to fix your camera. With everybody else, we're going to spread out. And Abe, I need you to stay behind too, so I can show you how to do that right. Yes, please.
What? And we have to ask Eliza. Well, I'm asking. I need to be focused.
They just said Eliza. Yeah, I just said Eliza.
What?
I just said Eliza.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa.
I don't know what I did, but it seems to be
Hi, Eliza. What happened to your mansion? That makes no sense. Eliza, can you please tell me what happened to your mansion? Oh,
Yeah. Oh,
keep getting noises around this car.
let me see your body. Yeah.
I have the names of the children and how
Oh, yeah?
many.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
got Terry
Huh.
and either it's an else or at
So
least.
have you figured out how to get to that word list yet?
That's
No way.
Yes.
I just asked her if she was in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina.
No, but that is exactly where the citation was at the end of it. I normally don't take like South Carolina or South Carolina. But you have a very specific
Literally where it's not.
Alright, so obviously I'm gonna get to the list, right? So what I want to see is kind of like information back. Oh, look at that. All the brave milk and eggs. Holy cow.
I just heard Michael.
Michael is being recorded on that one, so something. His can also pick up disembodied voices a lot quicker and a lot easier than the other ones, meaning it's not radio. So I write down.
It's hard to hear. I feel like put it up to my ear.
So that's obviously reflected.
Yeah.
Eggs, but that was when you're supposed to make it. Yeah, it's still close enough to be like you might need to stick when you Big John. So this one and Big John kind of bleed over a little bit. And you can find it right in the back half of it. Those kind of also need to get from time to time.
You said please help. Really? Yeah.
Eliza, what are we helping with?
Maddie, go back over here.
And the answers might be going to another spirit box. So again, that's why I bounce around with you guys and kind of see like what are the messages there when I look at it.
It's hard to hear it. Like,
Yeah.
play some music behind it. So I feel like
Any reason for that?
I think to see that they're, it's like everything looks like that. It's not really going back and forth. I just know
Yeah, it doesn't matter how far they are. I'm gonna light them up, so I can see them. So, I mean, yeah, you're fine.
Chloe or Fire?
You're fire? On which one? On yours?
I got 4.
Yeah, I just heard like fire. I heard God, body of Christ, and lots of
Because I was
gospel
right next to
music.
him and I was asking that. What happened?
It was like something like hot.
Did you hear I was walking towards him.
Did you
and I
hear
said,
this?
How many children?
I said 4. I was like, that's funny.
She's like, how many children?
I was walking
Get that ball.
so funny.
Yes, I mentioned it.
Did you hear that?
Mm-mm.
I was walking towards him, and I'm supposed to find out how many children and what their names are.
What year?
And I just said, I said, what? How many children did you have? And his said, he goes, I just got 4, and it was 4 children. That's
Oh.
how many she had.
Wow.
And then mine said, mm-hmm.
That's why they have to catch up on those credits. And once you get it, I kind of get it. So, Philip, I am going to kind of move you away from the vehicle just because we don't get figured out on that. So,
Every corner, that's what I did. Walking every corner, and clean out.
wow.
So much advice of sharing your story with us.
Can you show us the color blue again?
I got 30.
I got it. You guys think I'm not listening to I'm writing, but I'm writing down everything you guys are telling me because this happens every night. I mean, I don't always have this much going on every night. You guys are all telling me good things right now. So, okay, Michael, fire, yeah. As far as your camera, Jeff, I'm not always following up with it because it's more of a review.
Sure.
So, but if you're finding things in real time, that's amazing. But for
Okay.
me, it's much easier to be able to find it in the morning when it's on my giant computer screen.
Sure.
So, and I send them to
Paul one of
YouTube.
the kids?
No.
Because Maddie got Paul right after I was asking how many things, what the names of the kids.
Well, I don't know.
It could be very relevant.
I don't know. I asked if she was born and it said summer. I don't know when
No.
she was born.
Nope.
Did the fire, was the fire in the summer?
No. But yeah, I send both videos to YouTube so that way you guys can watch them however you want.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, you guys can watch
Sweet.
them on your TV, you can put them on your computer, your phone, tablets, whatever you want to. So,
Okay. Cool.
yeah, you guys will have full access to everything that's
That's
going
awesome.
on right now. What is it? Alright, so here's what I'm going to do that I'm excited about. Obviously, we have competition this year. We got the number 4 on another spirit box when asking how many children she has. That answer is correct. Let's go ahead and stop these videos, kind of give your hands a break. So go ahead and hit the square on yours, Jeff.
Okay.
I don't put a lot of faith into it. It's not an actual message. Alright, so anybody else here? No. Steve, your name?
Well, that was oh yeah, on the way I heard like 12 possible and flowers.
Alright, so the other round, everybody, come on in. Jeff.
Oh, okay.
So those of you with cameras, I do recommend keep you guys on the end so that way you're shooting necessarily down the alley. In spaces like this, we want to see this going on either way. You don't necessarily have to keep a person view for this one, Jeff, because the cobblestone can kind of contrast that for us. Alright, so welcome to Lodge Alley. This is a very, very interesting space. The reason why I'm asking for names, well, I guess let me explain the space first. When we came over that last crosswalk coming down East Bay Street, that's where the original Charlestown Wall used to be. Charleston used to be called Charlestown. It was a walled city. You're standing on one of the very first streets we ever had. People used to live here. I have the full list of residents of every person that's ever lived here in the past. It's not a lengthy list, don't get too excited. The names I commonly get are Benjamin and John. I get those names roughly around every 6 to 7 weeks. Here's why. And last night actually kind of proved some of it. It's so weird. So what we're dealing with here are basically the blocks that we're standing on. So Ava, I want you to pick a brick that's not wet and maybe further back against the hotel behind you, just so that you're not stepping on it by accident, and just place your device directly on it and leave it there. And I want you to just pick a brick.
Itself.
Let me know if you get any high numbers out of that. So, what we're dealing with here, these are Belgian blocks. Belgian blocks are said to be made out of granite. Granite does not hold an electrical charge in any way, shape, or form. So I've been studying this alley for my next podcast, so that way I can actually explain the stone tape theory a little bit further.
Sorry, I just listened to a podcast about that.
So, last night when I was explaining this to my guest, I did not realize that the person that was holding the word list actually had a very weird term. I've been using that spirit box with the words in it for about 6 years now. A word showed up last night, I didn't even know what it was, I had to look it up. I'm an English major, folks. Like, I know a lot of our vocabulary. I realized it was something very sciencey. It was Caesarium, or Spacerium, something along those lines. Anyway, it is a magnetic metal that is in granite, 1 part per 1 million parts granite.
Just a 1017.
1017. Damn 7 showing up again. It's all going to make sense later, folks. But do you have any readings going on with that thing, Ava? Nothing at all? Okay, so some nights that thing will give me the normal 1.1, which is natural from the Earth. I'm not excited about that. But other nights it will give me between 8 and 11. So again, I can't explain that because granite does not hold an electrical charge. What is the stone tape theory? It's basically saying that the blocks are hanging on to the consciousness of memories and replaying it for us to be able to capture on electronic devices. So, was I expecting Benjamin and John's name to show up tonight? Not necessarily. We're in 2 to 3 of that weird loop that I'm keeping track of. So I wasn't expecting those names. Come on through, boss. You didn't say blue this time.
No boo this time?
No boo this time. Okay. Security, they have to go back and forth between the hotels. Obviously, recognizable faces. So that's the interesting part about this. But before people lived here, you can go ahead and pick it up. We're not getting any readings. Before people lived here, the Freemasons had a Masonic lodge here, hence the name Lodge Alley. We both get the terms Freemason, Mason, Brig. We also get the term Illuminati that will show up from time to time on a spirit box going through the radio stations. My question to you is, who the hell is talking about the Illuminati on the radio that we're catching it? And second, why am I only hearing it in this space? Last year we caught it 6 times. That is a very odd term to be capturing. And we've already caught it 3 times this year. So again, that's 9 times in the past year and a half. So again, why am I getting it here? Very weird. Sometimes when I'm talking about the Freemasons, the word symbols will pop up somewhere as well. Obviously the Illuminati is known for all of their symbolism. So we do capture a lot of orbs in this space, so Philip, that's why I had you, focused on keeping that. And watching the temperatures of these bricks, Jeff, is another reason why I have you filming, going down the alley. Now, the next space we're going to is the one where we've been getting all the clues from. It's another alley. However, I can't take you all the way through. It's because I've been kicked out. The reason for it is all of you have the blinky lights and gizmos and the noisemakers, and it is considered residential at the end. However, I am going to stir up the activity by telling you the story outside of the alley, and all of those extra clues will start to make sense. So, with that said, once we get out of this alley, we're going to go up this way. All cameras will stop. We're cutting through a neighborhood to get to that alley. So again, if you want to take a few pictures the opposite way as we all exit, so that way you have a nice clear alley, a nice touristy, crazy ghost town looking type photograph, that would be awesome for everybody. And again, same thing with all of the cameras. If you want to do a quick turnaround, I'll walk slow through that neighborhood, and then you guys can play catch up. Is that fair?
Mm-hmm.
Just the 3 shots killed.
Girl, I need to get you a job. Seriously.
Everyone's like that that's around her. Every psychic, everyone. They she has to leave for them to be able to even talk to someone else. It's crazy.
Lodge.
Lodged. We're in Lodge Alley.
Oh. Oh my gosh.
See why you guys keep me around? The next phase we're going to, just so you know, we're going to be discussing duels. That's why she heard 3 shots killed.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not 3 shots that I know of. There was 2. Obviously, this is a duel. You only get 1 shot per person. So, very interesting. Let's go put all of your clues together that you guys all caught at the Pinkley Mansion site. Maybe don't only wear movie time.
Parent. A lot of that type of stuff doesn't mean anything. It just, when they come up with names and dates. Yeah. I really want to change.
Still getting them. Very cool. Let's see if the name of that bride pops up. So, here's how this story goes. Where we're standing right now is called Philadelphia Alley. It's easy for me to remember because that's where Eliza's buried, in Philadelphia. However, it used to have several names before that, one of them being Dueller's Alley. I told you we're going to be discussing duels. So, we all talk about one specific duel because we can actually prove that it happened. And we do get a lot of clues stirred up here. This one will bleed over. I don't expect it to bleed over to the Pinckney Mansion site like it did, but it will bleed over to the rest of our time together because we're stopping at that corner and that'll be our last stop, just so you guys know. But there's a doctor that moves down here. His name is Joseph Brown Ladd. We had Joseph pop up earlier. So, however, we didn't get anything relative to medicine. So I was actually, usually when his name pops up, something relative to medicine pops up.
She got hospital.
Oh, fair enough.
One against the mother.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
I said one against.
one against.
One against? Like
Yes.
one against another
Like, no,
person.
went against.
Oh,
Went.
went against like the Julia.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
got one. Like it was like I think it was the same thing.
Very cool. I'm gonna write that one down, but I'm gonna give you the rest of the story here because there's a lot that goes on in this location. You're gonna hear all those clues pop up. So he moves down here from Rhode Island. He moves down here because his fiance, his soon-to-be bride, Amanda, just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She's an attorney that's helping her out with all of this cash. The attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after Amanda's money, so he tells Amanda to get rid of Dr. Ladd. Dr. Ladd moves down here to Charleston to prove that he's not just after Amanda's money. As he's coming into town, the coachman set him up to be robbed and killed. So it wasn't a very good start to his stay in Charleston. But somebody was walking by, a local, and he seen what was going on and knew the coachman was setting him up to be robbed and killed. This guy's name was Ralph Isaacs. I'm going to stop on Ralph for a second because you're ghost hunting. Initials mean something. Ralph Isaacs has the same initials as where the doctor came from, Rhode Island. R.I. shows up here a lot. But those are the two main characters, which means I need a secondary clue, so I need to know who the heck it belongs to. But anyway, Ralph says, dude, you don't want to stay here. There's a gunman inside. He's going to try to kill you and take all your money. But I got some friends at 59 Church Street. 59 Church Street, I'm going to stop there because we already have clues relative to that, was known as the Thomas Rose House. And that's what we call it today, just so you guys know. But you can stay at 59 Church Street with some friends. They're going to charge you rent, and you have a safe place to stay. The doctor takes him up on the offer, and him and Ralph become friends. The longer the doctor stays in Charleston, the more his practice starts to take off. He's making his own money now. He's proving his point that he's not after Amanda's money, and Amanda's coming down soon. So he becomes known as the Whistling Doctor. Now, every haunted city you go to has a cliche whistling ghost. I actually have proof. So, again, remember, I used to take my teams down there. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But, at any rate, him and Ralph go see plays together, but they can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. So they have to talk about these plays on the way home. One night they're going to see William III, and they're arguing over the new actress. The doctor thought she was fantastic, Ralph not so much. It gets even more heated when Ralph starts insulting Amanda, the doctor's fiance, back home in Rhode Island. They go their separate ways. Ralph, being from here, has friends at the newspaper. He puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Kind of a jerk move, right? So, the doctor sees the ad, he rebuttals with, let's go to Dueler's Alley. We're going to settle this, somebody's going to die. So they come down, they take the 10 paces, they turn, the doctor points his gun in the air, and he shoots. He did not want to kill his friend.
I have a question. I just heard shot in the leg, 3 days, and then I'm shot.
You got all kinds of stuff shooting
I
around.
know.
So,
They like screamed, I'm shot.
yeah, as soon as I said that too. Cried again? It came up a second time?
I just cried.
Cried. Oh. So, you did not want to kill that friend, but Ralph has his one shot. Sorry, Trenton, you just happened to be in front of me. He puts the gunshot in the leg of the doctor. Not. I don't know which one, but it was in his kneecap. He drops to the ground.
I said shot in the leg.
and he just said,
The doctor, that's where Ralph put his one shot, was in the leg of the doctor. So, the doctor drops. His friends pick him up, carry him home to 59 Church Street. That's actually, I heard you. I'm going to write all this down. So, yeah, we had Church Street as well, and Rose. So, again, ties those two together. He dies 10 days later. So, it wasn't 3 days. He dies 10 days later after refusing medical treatment. You have to remember that this guy was a doctor. He probably tried to bleed it out himself. So, again, the story, the campfire part of this, what all the other tourists talk about, is when you walk down here that you can hear the whistles from the doctor. We're standing outside the alley right now. We will get songs that have whistling in it. And it's the only part of the night that we get it in. Kind of the same thing about the Illuminati thing we just talked about. So the Maroon 5 song that moves like Jagger has whistling at the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
We'll get the Guns N' Roses song Patience. Lots of whistling in the song Patience. So again, we will get that over here. We'll get the term whistle. We get it all the time. So when I'm spot checking this, I don't look for certain things. I just wait for it to happen. Like, I'm weirded out by that we had so many of these clues come up at the Pinky Mansion site. So
I love her.
I'm waiting for her name. Who did he love? Come on, Doc. Tell us who you love.
Let us know.
So, here's how I got booted out of here. This is the fun part of the story. So, told you. Large tours. No fun. Did I say that out loud? I did. I'm sorry. I try not to knock the other tours. I really don't. Lots of competition down here. Can you guys tell? So, the other side of this alley is older than the side we're looking at on this side. The reason why is because it was blocked off. It didn't come all the way through. This is where they held the livestock for the city of Charlestown. basically. So they had to keep them reined in, which means the bricks on the other side are older. They're sun-dried bricks from slave children. There's a full handprint from a slave child on the other side and some fingerprint swipes in those bricks because those kids literally had to turn them so that way our hot sun can bake them. Now, I treat that brick the same way I do a grave. That kid is not staring at that brick in the afterlife. We're not going to get any activity from it. The only reason I used to point it out is it's part of our history, which I'm sure you guys allege that I'm pretty hip on our history. So, however, November 26th of 2020, my entire group of 10 wanted to huddle around that brick with the handprint in it to see if they can get anything. It's outside a gentleman's dining room window of his beautiful mansion. He's not happy with me. I come out screaming, wanting to see my license and all of that crazy mess. My daughter thought it was great because Dad's getting yelled at. The next day was Thanksgiving, turkey.
Yeah.
Actually, the word turkey show up. The next day was Thanksgiving. I did not have a tour. I told you guys I worked in retail management for over 20 years. I finally took a Thanksgiving off. I'm sure you all can appreciate that, right? I work at Walmart, no less. Yeah, manager for Walmart, 20 plus years. Ridiculous. So, I took that day off. The next day was November 28th of 2020. Yes, these dates mean something, and I'm getting to the point, Jeff. He's staring at me like, seriously, man, get to it. I get a phone call from the tourism office that morning, November 28th. They asked me to go down halfway like everybody else, because that's exactly what that tour is going to do, or to reroute my tour. I told them I'm going to reroute because it's not fair for my 10 to try to investigate around 20 to 60 people in the same skinny space. That's why we hang out on here. Oh, you're good. You're good. So I tell my group that night because I don't have a whole lot of history on the location of where we're going. It's a pirate story. I'm not into pirates. I'm a vampire guy through and through. So I was going to wing it, and I told them that. We're going to wing it and see what happens, guys. I'll tell you what I know. I did a little bit of research during that day. Before we leave, somebody hears the name Anne on a spirit box. I did not tell them who we were going to be investigating, which was going to be female pirate Anne Bonny. We get there, I told them what I knew, which wasn't much, and again, I didn't believe the story because I didn't have any evidence from it in the past. Somebody hears the number 300 on another spirit box, and I don't know what that means. So the next day I'm doing the research for that team. Turns out we were there on November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact 300-year anniversary of her pirate trial. So now I take you guys there every single night in hopes that we're going to capture the same type of evidence. I will tell you that the Anne Bonny tale that I tell you is comprised of a lot of resources, so if anything else, you're going to learn a hell of a lot about pirates tonight. However, it is a hit or miss with the actual activity. Now with this group, who knows, because you guys have been doing fantastic. So we're going to see what's going to go on there. If anything else, like I said, this is a crazy whopper of a story. I don't know how many pirate books I've read to be able to piece this together, but I'm always looking for things that, like, as far as factual, because it's pirate lore. I went based on at least 2 resources told me these things to be able to verify it as part of what I was going to tell you. So kind of keep that in mind as we go through the rest of this story.
Is this part of the tour?
What's that?
Is this a tour?
It is.
Okay. I'm sorry.
You're good.
You're good.
I don't know what he's looking for.
It said it's over. In the darkest night.
The darkest night.
I just
Well, do they have a duel at night?
I don't know. I say we go straight into Anne Bonny instead of doing the myths and legends, like, because I normally do like a little myths and legends kind of thing, and it's not a whole lot of activity. I want to get straight into Anne Bonny with this team. I'm stoked. I want to see what's going to go on. So when we get there, Maddie, if you can remember all of those things that you heard here, I'll write them down before I get into the Anne Bonny
It's
story.
gonna be hard.
Well, I'm excited about the left leg and the shot things that you heard.
Yeah,
So,
that's a good.
yeah, this way. Well, we do get a lot of church things, like you even hear like Bible, priest, pastor, those kind of things, just because we're close to St. Paul's. So this is our oldest church here in Charleston, just so you guys know. Yes, that's a great picture shot. So good job. I was going to ask you if you wanted to take a toasty shot. And last night was the full moon, which it was just to the right of the steeple, which made it beautiful. Yeah, it normally ends up on just on the right side. It was a little lower than normal. I actually have a shot where it's pretty close to the top. Obviously, we're trying to get you guys to come in. All right, so Philip, you still recording, buddy? Yes. All right. Okay. So let's get into where we're at and why we're here. So this little building right here is what we're going to be discussing, just so everybody knows. This is the powder magazine. This sells gunpowder for 7 different wars. Oh, by the way, I did write down "shot in the lake," and I'm shot. If anything else kind of pops up that you remember that was specific to that location, and also the number 7s that you guys were all hearing are relative to Philadelphia Alley as well. The doctor's birthday is July 7th. 7/7. Yeah, nothing that I know. And we also have Allison, so I don't know who the hell these ladies are, but it's definitely not. Yeah. We do get a lot of things wrapped around John Calhoun while we're at this location too in the month of March, because he died in March and he was born in March. So he's buried literally on the other side of that wall. And that's usually part of the myths and legends piece they give you from across the street. But I want to focus on the powder magazine. So notice that these crosses on this building, those are not crosses, by the way. Those are earthquake bolts. If we have another earthquake, like what we did in 1886, which we haven't, we've had a couple little rumbles, but nothing drastic. Earthquake bolts are basically turnbuckles. So if we have another earthquake, you can turn them, and it's supposed to straighten the building back up again. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work. I will also point out that those little, like, orange peach squares are also earthquake bolts. They're just, you guys have been seeing them all over town and didn't realize it. They're normally in the shape of pineapples or lion heads or something along those lines. The reason I bring these ones up specifically is because those are the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston put in. Why? Because this is the oldest government building in South Carolina. It's finished in 1713. We're here because this building is familiar to our pirate Anne Bonny when she started her pirate career. So, we talked about those Charlestown walls earlier, did we not, over at Lodge Alley? So this street behind you where that parking garage is, that's where the wall stood. It went up past the powder magazine and started going to my right, south, towards the battery. The reason it did that is because it kept the gunpowder magazine the furthest into the walls to protect it from any attack from the Revolutionary War ships or pirate ships 3 blocks away at the water. Those cannonballs are going to have a hard time making it all the way to this location to be able to destruct it. We're going to pretend that it does. These walls are 32 inches thick too, by the way, so even if it does go through, it's going to have a hard time penetrating the wall. But we're going to pretend that the cannonball goes through and blows up the gunpowder. Underneath those red shingles, those clay shingles that were actually handmade on somebody's kneecap, by the way, so that way they're all uniform, there's sand underneath those. It's designed so that if the gunpowder actually explodes, the sand will go up in the air because it's not going to go out through those thick walls and then fall to put out the fire of the gunpowder.
It just said gunpowder in the wall, and then you can literally look back. I'm not kidding. I was trying to keep.
I'm gonna have to. You're the one recording it.
Gunpowder wall, and then I think it's a paint and EMF.
The only thing that's set for me is pressure.
Pressure. So that would cause the sand to go up. It's kind of vague, but you can see where I'm going with it.
Yeah.
I will
Before
tell
you
you.
started talking about gunpowder, that's when my mouth dropped. I was like,
Yeah, you
Yeah,
heard,
I think
you
pressure,
heard
like,
shot in the leg too back there
Yeah.
before I even said it.
yeah.
So I would tell you that this sand in the roof theory does not work either, just like the earthquake bolts. We had another powder magazine closer to the battery. It did get attacked because it's obviously closer to the water. The sand went up, but the building burned to the ground, so the sand failed to do its job. I will tell you that the sand is still there from 300 plus years ago because sand does not disintegrate. So if you ever need to get out of our heat or our cold here in Charleston, this is a great $5 to spend. Like, it's very historical in there, and it's a cool little 30-minute tour. It's very interesting to see how it's constructed. But again, we're here because of the time period. This is what I call a familiar. It's kind of like using a toy to attract a child ghost, right? There's not many buildings this old in Charleston, so that's why we're here. Our story begins in the middle of this building's construction. It took 10 years to build, by the way, 1703 to 1713. Does that sound like our government? 10 years, small building? No, not at all. So sorry, the adults are usually the only one to get that joke. But at the same time, 1708 is where our story begins. You're gonna have to follow me. There's a few twists. Young lady moves here from Ireland. Her name is Anne Cormack. She moves here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is her mother. Is everybody with me so far? Okay. The 3 of them are running away from his wife. How angry was she? Just saying, man. Like, you gotta leave your country by boat to get the hell away from her. I only moved 2 cities down. But at any rate, they land in Georgetown. That's just north of here in between us and Myrtle Beach, just for those of you that aren't from here. Dad buys a plantation, but Mom dies pretty quickly, which means he has to send young Anne down here to Charlestown to sell anything from the plantation to kind of keep things afloat. Hence why we're here. I will tell you that back in Ireland, Anne was kind of a badass. They say she actually killed one of her servants when she was only 10 or 12 years old with a knife to the belly. Like, she was hardcore
I
chick.
got stomach right when we came out here.
You guys are awesome. Again, I want to take you guys out everything.
Is 15, 20 years?
No, but 20 is definitely relevant in this location.
And I got 20 when we were walking up, remember?
You had 20 back at Pinckney Mansion, I think.
Oh, no, it was 4.
Yeah. But 20 is definitely relevant here, and you're going to hear that here in just a moment. Actually, you've already heard it. You know her pirate trial was in 1720.
Oh, that's right.
So, where was I? She was badass, right?
She stabbed her
Got it.
servant
So
when
we're-
she was a young girl.
This building was finished in 1713. We're fast forwarding a little bit to get to the cool pirate stuff because Trenton's like, man, get to the good killing stuff. So, pirates are coming through town in 1715. So, there's your 15, by the way. And she's stoked because she's about 16, 17 years old at this time, and she's going to fall in love pretty quickly. Guy number 1, yes, I'm going to keep tally because that meant. So guy number 1 turned out to be James Bonney. I'm sure all of the adults, we can figure out where this is going, right? So dad doesn't approve because he's a filthy pirate. They run away to Jamaica, they get married, and Cormac becomes Anne Bonny, your most famous female pirate of the Golden Age. Her career started while she was living right here in Charleston area. So when she gets down there, this guy is not the swashbuckling, rum-drinking Captain Jack Sparrow that she was hoping for. Yes, I practiced that in front of the mirror because I can't get it out of my mouth unless I do. So this guy's a privateer, which means he's a spy for the British. He's relaying back to the British what's going on.
I did get smart.
How long ago? Because again, Anne Bonny is said to be seen all over town. I normally only get major clues to her while we're here.
Christian.
Church.
Well, actually, it was back at the mansion.
Okay. So, this is not the guy that she was hoping for. So she falls in love again a few years later. Guy number 2. This guy is John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. Yes, this is the same Jack that they based Captain Jack Sparrow's character off of. So, that sparks up some ears when I say that now. So, Jack has his own ship and wants to be part of it. You can't put a girl on a crew because girls are bad luck to pirate ships. So he makes a deal with her. If you dress like the guy and hide your gender, then you can be part of the crew. She's okay with this because Dad used to hide her as a boy back home in Ireland to keep her away from his wife. So she's okay with this cross-dressing bit, but the other part of that deal with Jack is that she is allowed to be a female in his quarters. So adults, let's put 2 and 2 together. Yeah, she's eventually going to get pregnant, right? Can't have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a girl. So he drops her off in Cuba. These are friends of mine. They're going to help you deliver the baby. Come back later. We'll figure it out. She goes and has a baby, returns with no baby. We have no idea what happened to this child. She's also dressed like a female. This makes Jack pretty angry because now everybody on the crew is going to realize he let a female on the crew. So of course it's going to be bad morale. He also just captured another pirate crew and they're down below deck, and Anne's going to go flirting because that's what Anne does. Guy number 3. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy to be part of the pirate crew the Calico Jack just captured. Yes, I have to practice that one as well to make sure it all comes out properly. So yes, that means we also have 2 females dressed like males on the same pirate ship, trying to be pirates. This young lady's name is Mary Reed. Now, her and Mary become friends, possibly lovers, because we'll never know for certain, and the British find out where they are. They send their entire fleet of ships. Multiple ships are coming after one pirate ship. Anne and Mary are the only 2 not drunk enough to come up and fight with their 1-bullet flintlocks because they probably don't know how to use the cannons yet, trying to defend the ship. They're obviously going to get taken. As they're being arrested, she looks at her captain in her boat, Calico Jack, and says, "You should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog." Did you not hear the word dog earlier? Thought so. So, with that said, we're going to go straight to the trial. The judge wants to see the 2 men that fought so valiantly by themselves after he's already tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunken pirates that would come up and fight, so they're dead and gone. The 2 ladies go in front, they reveal their gender, that they're female. He doesn't care. I know history can be boring. So he doesn't care. Yes, I'm going to call out yawns every time. So he doesn't care that they're female. He's still going to hang them because they're still pirates. So we plead our bellies was the last thing they claimed and screamed out, meaning they're both claiming to be pregnant. You cannot hang a pregnant woman at 1720. It's illegal. Sends them both back to jail, delays the hanging. Dad is still here in Charlestown area with all of his Irish money from when he was a lawyer back home. He bails out Anne, brings her back home again. She remarries, that's husband number 2, but guy number 4, because yes, we're going to count Mary, we don't know, and has 4 kids and dies at the age of 84. Yes, very abrupt ending. Jeff's like, what the hell just happened?
Man,
Now,
it's a lot.
who? The last husband? No idea. Can't find it. I get it, John, but that's about as far as I can get. Her entire life after her pirate career is a complete mystery, and they're all strewn. Some of them say that she stayed here, some of them say she moved to Virginia. And again, nobody knows where she's buried, where
Did
she's
she
from.
really have a baby in Cuba?
We don't know. I don't know that answer either.
Interesting.
I would tell you, as far as Mary Read goes, Mary died a year later in 1721 in that jail from whatever pirates died from in a Jamaican jail. I'm sure it was nasty and scurvious and bumpy and gross and whatever else you guys want to come up with. Now, as far as questions, there's only two. Because again, this is pirate stuff. I'm not going to give out a series of questions. I'm only going to give you two. Two things I left out purposely that I can actually prove. The names of Anne Bonny's parents. That's the father and his mistress. And also the name of Calico Jack's ship. Those are things that I can prove for certain. Everything else is fair game. Ask whatever the hell you want to. You guys are awesome at this by now. Like, seriously.
I got drunk.
We're talking pirates. They're all drunk.
Oh, boy.
So, I told you all, Sandy, I'll take that. Stomach. Pride thing was back there. Yeah, I like Sandy because we just talked about the sand in the room. So, I told you guys at the beginning of this tour that people have passed out with my tours.
Yes.
So here's where things get a little weird and you can see where things can get uncanny at the least. Yeah, weird. I normally take my groups to the back ivy wall because the other tours like to pass up through here. I'm sure you notice I like to stay out of everybody's way, alright? So, I take my group back there back in September, and the kid next to me, he's probably, 20, 21, I call him a kid still, he's starting to pass out on me. It's a nice, cool night. He's not overdressed, he's not underdressed, like he's perfectly fine, but he literally goes as white as your shirt, Jeff, and he starts to drop, so I have to pick him up by his armpit. And his boyfriend picks him up on the other side. We get him over to this wall, we sit him down, I get him a bottle of water, he's doing well. I then tell the story. It's important to know that they have no idea what you guys now know about Anne Bonny. I go spread everybody out with their devices, them two pull me aside, the guy who passed out and his boyfriend. We have to tell you something. We are two transgender males, meaning I had two females dressed as males, just like Anne and Mary in the story. And it made sense as to why one of them passed out the minute we entered the space. These are the things that happen on my tours. Psychics normally don't make it past the Canopy Mansion, especially if the EMF is high in that spot. I don't know how many times I've had to call paramedics. The first time somebody passed out on my tour, I was in CPR class the next day. I carry a first aid kit with me, and I normally have an extra bottle of water just for those kind of instances. However, I forgot my extra bottle of water tonight because I was like, yeah, we'll stop at the Scotchman if anybody needs anything. It's close enough. But again, as far as cameras go, you guys can go to the front of the Powder magazine if you'd like and get us some photos and camera footage if you'd like. Just make sure you stay out of the way of the other tours. Just kind of wait your turn. They don't. Again, I don't have a whole lot of friends in this industry, so I piss off enough people. So don't put in the way. Yes, sir.
Not to go over there.
Yeah, we're gonna stay in this area, and I'm gonna chill out over here by the wall, and you guys are gonna do all the work. Laura, I don't know. You give me a few terms.
Because I got lesbian back there. Yeah.
If you got pride.
Said walkie lesbian.
Got pride.
You got pride back there. You did? Yeah. I got pride and then I got lesbian.
Yeah, it's Pride Month. So
Happy Pride Month to them.
Yeah, they were like way ahead of their time.
Yeah, I mean maybe it could be because of that.
Yes.
One time.
Sure.
Her parents, Anne Bonny's parents. What were the things that you heard one more time?
Chloe. I got 3 shots. Wait, no, don't tell me. Don't tell me. I don't know the name of the ship. Don't tell me. I'm the ass.
I was by the gunpowder right here.
Okay.
And I got Further?
Please tell me the name of your ship, Anne.
And you're supposed to know what's the name of Anne's parents.
What's the name of the
You don't ask that. You just ask it out.
I just heard, I don't know. Woman.
What's the name of your ship?
Anne, please tell me the name of your ship.
I got woman or man? Can you make it go? Wait, ask one.
Why does it keep talking about this space? This why is space 48 so cold? So weird. Parking space 48. Nothing. Oh. Oh man. Hey Trent, walk right here. Walk in that space 48 just in front of me. Stand right there for a minute.
Here, come here. Come here. Record this. I'm on the left.
What? What?
Ooh, I just got the word suicide.
Well, every time you walk over here, that's what. It's, you know, the other side of that wall is a cemetery.
Hmm. Good, man. I'm just kind of trying to keep people in it and just moving around.
After that other family checks out the front, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up over here by the wall
Okay. Cool.
because they're getting us some footage up front real quick. She wants to take a few snapshots. Looks like she's getting you guys some angles, like she's turning the camera around and stuff. So you guys should have some good stuff.
Good group of people, man.
Dude, this was awesome. I can't even tell you. It was such a relief after some of these tours I've had.
I didn't think about like the people you got to deal with sometimes, the skepticism and the people
All the time.
they can be like completely rude, I'm sure, and just
Normally the camera, I don't listen to the audio on the camera just because if I give that to a skeptic and didn't know it, I'm going to hear everything they're saying about me. So I just don't even listen to it. I got to keep that negativity out of my brain.
absolutely.
So, but yeah, this was an amazing group. Like you guys were phenomenal.
Oh, I'm glad the other group was great too, because it just makes it.
Well, when I designed this, it was so I can be happy and have fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when I get those people that are, they're either super religious or they're too closed-minded to kind of see where the possibilities could be. I'm not saying I have all the answers. I'm saying let's go find some.
Sure.
That's the
I
whole
asked
point.
for the name and I got Anne and Hope.
And Hope shows up here a lot, actually. Yeah. So I don't know what that Hope is for. But we've had Anne and Bond.
And when I walked towards the
Alright, guys.
cemetery, I got Evil and Help.
More Hope. Alright, everybody, let's circle around. So, we had some good stuff, a lot of like watery terms. So like, we had sail, we had on the sea, we had like a lot of watery type, we had the word drunk, very piratey type stuff. We had a claim of Anne, and I was hoping he would have been near Dad, so that way he could have heard it. So, before I collect devices, of course, I'm going to give you the answers. So, of course, the only way I can remember to give you the answers is to show you what